we've started this activity sometime in May. So this is really looking at May to November, and also with the vision of what this could be going forward. Oscar, over to you.
Thank you, Angelina. So we started with last mile financial services, which was the main activity for Guatemala, supported by USAID Agile for Credit Unions. And with the support of the Rally campaign and the funds from the foundation, we were able to continue with this work, trying to reach rural families. But when we reflected at the beginning of this initiative with MICOPE or FENACOAC, we realized that we needed to include some other activities, not only concentrated in last mile financial services, but really trying to understand the model or the ecosystem that has been tested by technical services, let's say, of WOCU in some countries, starting in Colombia 2011, I believe, and then in the last EIP project in Peru and Ecuador. So we came up with this model, and we presented this with MICOPE and FENACOAC, and as I mentioned, we realized that we needed some other activities because the model starts, as you can see there, with the member at the center or the people at the center. And based on what people are excluded from the financial services in Guatemala, we realized that according to the World Bank statistics, there are more than 8 million people that doesn't have access to financial services in Guatemala. And the entire MICOPE system in more than 60 years, they reach almost 3 million. So the opportunity is there, the need is there, and especially we need to focus more on other other segments of the population. And we realize that is rural families, means rural last mile financial services, women, meaning rural also, but remittances receivers, youth, which are now migrating, not necessarily to the United States, but migrating from the rural areas to Guatemala City, and low-income businesses. So we realized that last mile financial services starts with financial education, promoting then savings mobilizations, and then, of course, these segments of the population will need credit. So we included in this first initiative the methodology that Diana is going to explain to you, but also we started to working with financial education, savings mobilization, and implementing microcredit. The same methodology that we implemented in Ecuador, Colombia, and other countries many, many years ago, the Guatemala system or the credit unions in Guatemala didn't have access yet. So they were needing this, and we are piloting microcredit too. But also to complement this, working with micro businesses, we realized that we needed to implement or to replicate or to transfer some of the tools that we developed with EIP related with training to micro businesses and also financial education. So based on this concept or this model, we started these activities with MICOPE, realizing that putting a member at the center was something that they actually forgot in these many years. That's why they realized that WOCU is helping them to go back to the roots, to put a member of the people at the center of the credit union movement now. So Diana is going to explain to you what are the advances of these different initiatives that we are working with MICOPE now. And then we are going to be sharing with you some of the strategic impact that this initiative started with the Rally campaign, but also helping us to add value to our member in Guatemala, looking for new projects or other opportunities for WOCU in the future. So Diana, por favor, empecemos.
Gracias, Oscar. Bueno, lo primero que quiero decir es que esta iniciativa ha sido muy bien recibida por MICOPE y por las cooperativas del sistema, y que desde WOCU y desde el Rally hemos logrado fortalecer esas relaciones entre MICOPE y las cooperativas, y encontrar y poner en el centro estas iniciativas que hacen que el sistema cooperativo en Guatemala esté más fortalecido. Específicamente esta metodología de última milla La vamos a hacer con 6 cooperativas, pero ya estamos piloteando con las primeras 2 y preparando las otras para hacerlas el próximo año. Y tenemos aquí, lo importante es que, si me devuelves, Joana, todavía estoy en la primera lámina, por favor. Tenemos, como decía Oscar, al cliente al centro, es decir, aquí a los asociados, a las familias rurales que no tienen acceso en Guatemala y que a través de las cooperativas estamos llevando los servicios financieros enfocado primero por ahorro, por servicios de ahorro. Les hemos acompañado a desarrollar lo que aquí se ha denominado agente Micope, y el agente Micope es la tecnología que hemos ayudado a desarrollar para que ellos puedan llegar a través de un teléfono celular o de una tableta, en este caso utilizan tabletas, para llevar los servicios financieros, aperturas de cuenta y pueden abrir las cuentas de ahorro y cada mes el asesor les brinda este servicio. Aquí lo importante es que la comunidad se agrupa para recibir los servicios financieros y esto hace que sea más eficiente para la cooperativa, pues un solo asesor puede llegar y atender en un día a un grupo de 20 personas, pero lo importante aquí es que les lleva educación financiera y acceso a productos financieros. Y esto hace que el balance social empresarial sea una realidad, que la cooperativa pueda llevar todos los beneficios sociales a la comunidad al mismo tiempo que le lleva los servicios financieros. Entonces, lo que tenemos aquí es una comunidad atendida con servicios financieros integrales, con foco en ahorro, pero también podemos acercar el crédito, el uso de otros productos financieros como el seguro, y esto ha sido muy bien recibido por las cooperativas. La siguiente, Joana, por favor. Entonces,
Are you seeing the captions? Or do you need me to translate it?
Ok, entonces las 2 cooperativas pilotos son Acredicón y Tonantel, que es lo importante aquí, que ya hemos llegado solamente en la etapa de pilotaje mientras estamos haciendo la capacitación y entrenamiento en campo, porque acompañamos a las cooperativas desde el proceso de selección de los asesores financieros rurales hasta la implementación de los primeros grupos y desde la adecuación de los procesos que primero hicimos con Micope a la adecuación de los procesos con cada una de las cooperativas. Entonces, digamos que hay una fase de alistamiento muy importante que implicó diseño de producto, de ahorro programado, adecuación de productos, capacitación y entrenamiento en campo. Y ahora ya estamos en las comunidades. Hemos alcanzado hasta ahora en esta etapa ahora ya son más de 400 personas beneficiadas, representadas en 41 comunidades. Aquí lo que hacemos es trabajar mucho con líderes rurales para que los líderes convoquen la comunidad y ahí es donde brindamos los servicios financieros. Dice que no están teniendo las traducciones. Oscar, va a tocar que sí me ayudes. Dice Elena que no tiene la traducción.
Listo. Entonces déjame traducir obviamente. So Last Mile Financial Services is bringing the financial services to the rural communities. This is a methodology that was developed first in Colombia and then implemented in other countries, now in Guatemala. This methodology starts with financial education and then using technology, because the mobile agents from the credit unions travel to the rural communities carrying portable printers and cell phones. They are able to open accounts, process withdrawals, and process deposits on the savings accounts from the rural people, so the rural people doesn't have to travel to the town, reducing dramatically the transactional cost. So it's financial education, it's savings, and then it's including microcredit. The fundamentals of this methodology is to work through groups, because this makes the methodology or the operation from the credit union to rural communities efficient, but all of the financial services are individual. So it is savings, credit, and other products that the credit unions offer in rural areas are individual. Now we are developing or piloting this with 2 credit unions in rural areas, and Diana is presenting the numbers that we already achieved in this, short period of time. Sigue, Diana.
Ok, entonces en esta etapa de pilotaje hemos trabajado con 2 cooperativas que ya estamos en campo y hemos llegado a más de 400 personas. Trabajamos con líderes rurales que son los que nos ayudan a organizar a la comunidad. Hacemos educación financiera y hemos constituido los primeros 19 grupos. ¿Y qué es lo importante acá? Que estamos dejando la capacidad instalada en las cooperativas. Mi COPE,
But,
con,
so in this month we already reached with 2 credit unions, Tonantel and Credicom, almost 400 members or new members to the credit unions, 62% women from 41 financial or communities, rural communities, establishing the first 19 groups, but also working together with MICOPE in order to transfer them the methodology and the capacity so they can replicate in the future, making this methodology sustainable.
And Oscar, Diana, who establishes these groups? Is this the role of the rural financial advisors, or who establishes these new groups?
So we hired with MICOPE and the credit unions 5 rural financial advisors per credit union. So 5 in Tonantel, 5 in Tonantel and 6 in a Credicom. So what Diana and Franklin does is to train them, on the methodology, not only these new loan officers or credit rural officers, but the MICOPE people, and all together they go to the rural communities in order to establish the first groups, transferring the know-how and going to the field, accompanying the people to the field based on this learning by doing. So WOCU at the beginning teach them how to do the groups, they organize the groups, and then at the end, what we achieve is that the rural financial advisor or MICOPE agents are the ones that they are going to be organizing the groups, are working and operating the groups with the communities. But these officers or MICOPE agents are staff of the credit unions.
Ujú. Esto tiene un alcance grande porque en este momento que estamos en la etapa de transferencia, ya está quedando 2 personas en MICOPE que lo van a seguir, lo pueden seguir haciendo y las continuamos preparando. Y en las cooperativas, como dice Oscar, ya tenemos 11 personas que están haciendo los grupos. Así que el potencial que tiene de crecimiento la metodología es bastante grande con la capacidad instalada que estamos dejando. Para llegar a este punto y salir a campo con los asesores, incluso capacitamos a más de 40 colaboradores, no solamente a los nuevos asesores financieros rurales, sino a sus jefes, a los gerentes comerciales, a todo el personal involucrado al área de tecnología, al área de marketing. Y logramos entonces con esto llevar los productos de manera integral. Esto ha sido para MICOPE, y lo ha dicho el mismo gerente de la federación, una manera de llegar a las comunidades y rescatar, volver a nuestras raíces, porque podemos...
Okay. So in this transfer process of the methodology to the credit unions, they also train not only these rural agents, but also they train 2 people of MICOPE, 2 new people in MICOPE who is observing this methodology to replicate this later. But also they train more people, the other loan officers, other the branch managers, and all of the business people within the credit unions to try to give them all the knowledge to understand that this is important, bringing a balance not only to social impact to rural communities, but also to make this as a business and an opportunity for the credit unions. And according to Antonio Aldana, who is the manager of MICOPE, this methodology is part of now the DNA of the MICOPE, because this is exactly what brings the credit unions back to their roots. Rural communities that usually are excluded from the financial services and in Guatemala. Dale, Diana, pasemos a la siguiente,
Ok,
porque si no estamos
siguiente,
con el
sí.
tiempo.
La otra estrategia,
Joe, can you go to the other slide, please?
la siguiente estrategia es una estrategia que trabajamos de manera transversal con las cooperativas. Como con última milla podemos tener un alcance menor porque la dedicación de tiempo es bastante. Trabajamos esta estrategia de movilización de ahorros y educación financiera. Lo importante aquí es que le permite a las cooperativas llegar a población desatendida. El escenario ahora en las cooperativas de Micope es que están muy concentrados, es decir, aunque tengan 200.000 o 300.000 socios, las personas que tienen ahorro se reducen mucho, tal vez al 50%, o tienen muchas cuentas inactivas, porque los ahorros están concentrados en depósito a plazo fijo. Esta metodología permite juntar la educación financiera y la movilización de ahorros y llegar a la base de la pirámide. Y lo que hacemos entonces es capacitar a todo el personal comercial y de educación que en las cooperativas de Micope están muy desligados. Y aquí lo que hacemos es un proceso de integración en la misma federación y en las cooperativas para capacitarlo y los capacitamos en educación financiera y les enseñamos a identificar, por ejemplo, a través de un mapa mental de ahorros, cuáles son los beneficios de cada uno de los productos, con un fuerte foco en ahorro programado, porque es el ahorro que es más incluyente por naturaleza. Es el ahorro a través del cual podemos llegar a amas de casa, a mujeres desatendidas, a población rural o a población urbana que no han tenido acceso a servicios financieros nunca, porque siempre el sistema financiero en general y Micope en particular han estado enfocados o hemos estado enfocados en temas de crédito. Entonces, brindamos capacidad para que todo el personal de la cooperativa salgan y atiendan a la base de la pirámide con temas de ahorro. Oscar.
The main message here is that the Micope credit unions realized that they were forgetting about the base of the pyramid, the people with low income or low income population, but also youth, women. So with this methodology, with financial education and savings mobilization, they are reaching underserved communities. And with all the tools that we could develop, we are training them and transferring them the tools that we have, like the mind map services or other tools that we develop in previous projects, transferring them to the credit unions. Dele, los resultados.
Ok, ok.
Ok.
Y aquí hemos llegado a más de 190 colaboradores de las cooperativas, de 9 cooperativas, y estas cooperativas a través de 24 talleres. Estos son talleres muy dinámicos en donde hacemos incluso juego de roles, pero lo importante aquí es que después del taller hacemos práctica en campo. Es decir, acompañamos a las cooperativas a que identifiquen, por ejemplo, un nicho de mercado, mujeres tejedoras o artesanas o mototaxistas o personal del mercado. Y nosotros, junto con Micope, vamos hasta la comunidad y hacemos eso que le enseñamos en el taller. Educación financiera enfocado en cierre de la venta. Micope le ha denominado educación financiera con enfoque de desarrollo socioeconómico. Y se han dado cuenta cómo les ha permitido movilizar mucho. Por ejemplo, a Credicon, que fue con la primera que empezamos, les ayudamos a diseñar el producto de ahorro programado. No lo tenían y apenas empezó en mayo y y en este momento ya tiene más de 3.000 cuentas de ahorro programado. Y es porque ya pusieron el foco en otra población.
So in this 6 months only, we are working with 9 credit unions out of the 24 that Micope has in the system. We train more than 190 people within the credit unions in 24 workshops. But the most important part of this is that we help them to develop new products like program savings accounts, which has now 3,000 new accounts. And using this methodology, using these tools, going to the field, going to the markets, going to the businesses, promoting this new, not only these products, but using these tools in order to understand that we can reach base of the pyramid, diversifying the risk that they are having, because they realize too at Micope that the risk of concentration on the savings and credit was high. And we were forgetting about this, which is helping them to diversify not only the savings, but as Diana will mention later, on microcredit too. Diana,
Sí,
so can we go to
siguiente.
the other one?
Entonces, para complementar esta estrategia que nos permite llegar tanto a la zona rural, a la zona urbana, estamos también trabajando los temas de microcrédito. Y esto está apenas en su inicio y a través del microcrédito se logra mejorar la oferta al asociado. Porque por este lado, hasta ahora solo estábamos hablando de ahorro, ahora es también llegar al microempresario y que tenga la posibilidad de tener acceso a capital de trabajo. Micope no está acostumbrado a trabajar con este tipo de población, porque también, al igual que el ahorro, el crédito está muy concentrado en préstamo de vivienda, en préstamos para autos. Entonces, digamos que el promedio de crédito es mucho más alto y los procesos son mucho más lentos y no les permite atender al microempresario. Entonces, esto
Espera,
realmente,
so,
sí.
so Micope is concentrated more in housing loans and consumer loans or personal loans. They didn't have the methodology or the capacity or the products to attend the micro and small businesses. Maybe SME with the last TV project, but not necessarily the micro entrepreneurs. So with this methodology, what we are trying to achieve is to give them another segment of the market to diversify the risk on the credit side too. But also they are serving the people that usually were saving in Micope, but getting credits in other institutions like microfinance institutions or NGOs. So they were losing members because of not having this kind of methodologies or the offer in their portfolio. We started with two credit unions, Tonantel and Creditcom, to be ready to offer microcredit in rural areas through the last mile financial methodology, but also serving urban areas. So we are in the process of transferring these methodologies. We are going to be training the people in the next weeks, and then probably December, January, we are going to be deploying the loan officers to the field. But also, the Micope saw this as with tremendous value that they are asking us to present this methodology, the benefits and everything to the 24 managers of the credit unions in the next convention that is going to happen in 2 weeks in Guatemala.
Y de todas maneras, en la siguiente, Oscar, quiero decirles también que no solamente están invitando a la gente de que nueva de microcrédito, sino que tú les vas a capacitar a toda la gente. Por ejemplo, a Credicom vas a capacitar a 50 personas, porque es una nueva manera de hacer las cosas. Bueno,
So to end the microcredit, the credit unions, these two credit unions from the pilot are asking us not to train only the new loans officers or the new field officers in rural areas, but also all the people that is working in credit. So a Creditcom, for example, is bringing 50 people to the training workshops that we are going to be conducting next weeks. And now the next slide. Thanks, Joe.
Y ahora el tema de las plataformas que trabajamos en EIP, que fueron Hub y Yo Decido, son las que hemos transferido a Micope. Lo que hicimos fue transferir la metodología de las plataformas, les enseñamos cómo funcionan al personal del área de educación y sostenibilidad de Micope. Ellos ya lo saben manejar. Hemos creado las aulas dentro de las plataformas para las 24 cooperativas y hemos capacitado o presentado, socializado estas herramientas a estas 12 cooperativas que tenemos acá. Estamos en este momento? Estamos terminando la transferencia para que queden las 2 herramientas en los servidores de Micope y empezar con el uso de las plataformas ya a principios de año. Ahora haremos un pilotaje de cómo integramos el uso de estas plataformas a la población que ya estamos atendiendo con servicios financieros y con educación. Esto es muy importante. Hub le ayuda al emprendedor a desarrollar competencias para su emprendimiento, para mejorar su emprendimiento, pero fundamentalmente le ayuda a construir un plan de negocio sostenible en donde entienda bien cuánto dinero necesita, el precio de venta, cuánto es que tiene que invertir, cuándo va a llegar a punto de equilibrio su negocio. Y yo decido es la plataforma que ustedes, algunos de ustedes ya conocen, que es Educación Financiera con enfoque de género, pero le permite a las cooperativas llegar a población que no llega porque no la puede atender de manera presencial. Entonces, ahí vamos.
So these are the platforms that we develop in EIP. Two platforms. Hub is a business plan platform that trains the micro entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs to improve their businesses through strong and very focused business plans. That is being piloted with, as you can see here, 12 credit unions out of the 24. And Yo Decido, which is the platform that complements all the financial education methodologies, in-person methodology that we have. These two platforms are virtual, but the add value from Woku here to Mikope is to bring together the two areas, because this was programs focused on entrepreneurs and women that was carried out by the social side of Mikope as a social impact or social responsibility. But this kind of services wasn't given to the members of the credit unions that were working on savings and credit and insurance. So now we were able to facilitate the linkage between these services that can be also impacting the people or the members of the credit unions that are having financial services.
Y ya para terminar y darte el paso, Oscar, lo que quiero decir es que la estrategia que hemos diseñado en conjunto y que estamos trabajando con Micope ha permitido mejorar mucho la relación con las cooperativas. En este momento y desde hace algunos años, Micope está en el proceso de transición del core y eso ha traído una relación muy compleja con algunas de sus cooperativas. Y algunas de ellas, el vínculo que tienen ahora con la federación es más por este lado de trabajar en los temas de inclusión financiera, porque se están dando cuenta que no solamente lo necesita la gente, sino que les ayuda a fortalecer su negocio, que mejora su intermediación financiera, el hecho, por ejemplo, de captar dinero a menor costo, el hecho de poder atender a quienes siempre han querido, pero que les falta capacidad técnica para desarrollarlo. Tanto Micope como las cooperativas han identificado que lo que hemos trabajado, lo que trabajamos aquí con Franklin, con Oscar y ahora con las dos personas que contrataron en Micope, les aporta un valor técnico a toda su labor. Incluso están pensando en desarrollar un área de inclusión financiera.
Ahí nomás, por
Ya,
favor, porque es mucho para
y
traducir.
ya, y termino con eso. Gracias.
Okay. Disculpa, Diana. So, Diana needs to add here that this work that we are conducting with Micope has been also promoting a better relation between the Micope and the credit unions, because they had this core transition or core implementation process that has been delayed for more than 5 years. It has been a pain for both Micope and the credit unions. So the relation between the credit unions and Micope were affected by this. So now with this, focus on financial inclusion, new segments, the member, people at the center, rural people, women, youth, low-income population, entrepreneurship, in-person, virtually methodologies, tools, strategies that we are bringing to the credit unions with Micope, we were able to facilitate, let's say, or to strengthen the relations with the credit unions and Micope, and they really value this, both the credit unions and the federation. But also, it's been it's been seen as important for Micope, that Micope is also thinking and starting an area of financial inclusion, having all of these products or methodologies and tools that WOCU is bringing together to be able to continue with this, even after the project. Okay, and we can go to the next one, Joe. Now we are going to be talking briefly about Visa. So as you know, Visa US, the Accelerator Growth Program in the US, brought together with WOCU an initiative for cross-border payments, but specifically we focus on remittances, right? So what we are going to be doing until July, we are going to be presenting the lessons learned, will say, about this initiative is to work together with U.S. credit unions, and the idea was to work with different countries in Latin America in order to pilot this initiative. And as we go with this pilot, prepare a playbook that can be presented with other credit unions in the U.S. or other countries in Latin America, in order to give them all the information that they need to implement, to start, or to enhance or accelerate remittances programs within this corridor, US and Latin America. We decided then to pilot this, or to start a pilot with Unidos Credit Union, because Unidos is implementing a Brightwell solution, which is a very updated solution for remittances using card to card and other alternatives, but basically bringing here to the field this concept of the digital remittances, which is having Visa Direct at the back, having card to card, which is going to bring, we think, and that's the hypothesis, is to have low cost, fast remittances, and with more security, because we are going to be having Visa behind of this operation. And we decided to do it with Micope. We started thinking or having conversations with Mexico, CPN, with Colombia too, but we decided to work with Micope because Micope were advanced. We are there. We are in the territory. We are having Diana Franklin over there. The relation is here. Remittances is part of the ecosystem of the model that we have, and is related with debit cards, savings, and other components, financial education, other components of the model. So we decided to do this. And we realized, and this is the challenge that we have here, we realized that Micope only has 3% penetration on debit cards. So what we are realizing is that once Unidos is implementing this platform with Brightwell and Visa, we need to work in the field with the credit unions, and this is going to be the 24 credit unions of Micope, in order to implement a plan in order to scale debit cards. Because if you have this solution on remittances and you don't have debit cards or people with debit cards, it's not going to be impactful, or we are not going to be reaching anything. So we are going to be working in the two sides with United Credit Unions, and that will be more Visa US, and with Micope, and that will be more WOCU. But the importance of this remittances initiative with Visa and the Rally campaign with the foundation is that we understood that we are having more impact, but probably more opportunities for the future. So we want to present to you this strategic impact, working together with two. The Rally campaign actually for us is very important because we as WOCU are in the field working directly with the credit unions and the federation, our member over there. That gives us not only the information, but also the base in order to work with this model on financial education and the financial ecosystem, bringing the credit unions and Micope more relevance and bringing them more competitiveness in the market, trying to scale this. But also, as Diana mentioned, the relation between FENACOAC or Micope and the financial credit unions brought more opportunities for WOCU for the future. Not only this, so if we could have in the future more resources in order to expand the work, trying to accomplish more of the financial ecosystem, working together with Micope, will bring not only more solutions and more services to the excluded population in Guatemala, but also relevance for MICOPE and the credit unions in Guatemala. Another thing that we realize is that as we are there, we also implemented the strategy to work together with the supervisors, the regulators in Guatemala. Actually, they asked us to be part of the financial inclusion strategy and committees that they have in Guatemala. And together, WOCU and MICOPE participating in these tables is bringing more value for the credit union system in Guatemala. And they are being now more visible, and they are now here more from the regulators and the supervisors. And this is very important because MICOPE doesn't have access directly to the national payment systems, for example, because they are not regulated by the central bank or the superintendency of banks. They are regulated by the ministry. So that's the reason they are not accessing the national payment systems, giving them less competitive advantages with other institutions like the banks. Also, another thing that we realize is that we understand very well, and we are working with MICOPE and the credit unions in Guatemala. We actually found that Visa Latin America and Visa US are more interested in helping us in other aspects. In the case of Visa US, Todd, who is the leader in Visa US on the remittances side, is seeing that we will need to expand the work that we are doing on financial educations linked with remittances. That's one thing that our people develop already, a module on financial education focused on remittances. But also we will need to come up with commercial plans on remittances based on how we scale the debit cards in Guatemala, plus, probably in the future, corresponding agents. And so Visa US now is more interested in developing what will be the next plans for MICOPE. And Visa Latin America too, because they want to scale debit cards and corresponding agents and other solutions that they are working already with MICOPE, because MICOPE only have 100,000 debit cards out of 3 million people. So Visa Latin America is trying to come up and see how they can fund this activity, because they realize if they wait only for the federation or the credit unions, and not only Guatemala, but Mexico, Colombia, Ecuador, El Salvador, they are saying that if they don't have WOCU as a facilitator, and let's say, and the people going there, not only training them, but accompanying them to the field, to making the things happen, there are not going to be differences over there. So they are seeing how we can, support WOCU and MICOPE in order to do this. And they have this agreement with incentives signed with MICOPE. And they said, let's come up with a plan and see how we can use these incentives that we have in this agreement in order to pay for the future work that WOCU could be doing with MICOPE in this space. So opportunities with Visa, opportunities with MICOPE also, because MICOPE is saying that if we don't have more funds in order to scale this in the future, maybe they will be open to hire or contract WOCU as a consultant in order to do this. And this is related with the fee-for-service strategy that we've been discussing within WOCU. And at the end, I believe the main part of this is that this can be replicated. For us, the conclusion here, or the main conclusion here, is that the Rally campaign is a pivot. Is very important in order to start creating more opportunities, not only in Guatemala, but with a vision on doing more things in other countries or replicating the model in other countries. And we already tested this model, let's say, with El Salvador through workshops, El Salvador, Panama, Colombia, and Dominican Republic, even Ecuador, in which we don't have a member, but they are very interested in applying this concept, this model, with a center, or having the member at the center and having all this, initiatives and opportunities there. So if we could have this permanent fund or Rally campaign for WOCU to strengthen relationships, adding value to the members, promoting financial inclusion, having linkages and opportunities for new consultancies or projects in the future is going to be relevant. Having, of course, a lot of very important histories of success stories from the members of the credit unions that we can show as the impact of WOCU and the foundation working together. And just to finish this, next slide, please, Joe. We want to try to give you some of the next steps that we are seeing, not only with MICOPE and the credit unions in Guatemala, but also with Visa, for example. So it's going to be last mile, more credit unions interested, microcredit, more credit unions, the platforms and the savings monetization with all of the system. But we are talking about remittances, and remittances is going to be debit cards. So this is part of the model that you see here, or the component in the model, which is payments. So we need to come up with some kind of new initiatives in order to scale or to expand debit cards, because without debit cards, there's not going to be remittances there. Digital financial inclusion and education in order to focus on remittances, in order to bring other strategies to try to scale not only the use of debit cards, but also the use of remittances. Correspondent agents. Visa came up with this new product called agents. What is the word? Well, new correspondent agents, which is going to be piloted only in Guatemala and Vietnam in the world. And they were thinking only on Ban Rural and other NGO, strong NGO in Guatemala, but now they are seeing MICOPE as part of this, because this is going to be phone to phone, tap to tap correspondent agents in rural areas that are going to be very important in order to implement or to increase the network and the presence of the credit unions of MICOPE in rural areas, complementing the last mile financial services methodology. And then also digital loans or digital credit that has been discussed. And this is very important, not only for MICOPE, because they don't have the credit cards scaled yet, but also for Visa, because they want, to promote or to help MICOPE and the credit unions to scale the credit cards too. So having this digital credit models or motors or scores, we are going to be promoting also the scale of the credit cards over there. So this is just to show you that we started with part of the components of this model with MICOPE, and we are, seeing together with our member that the add value over there is to bring not only the model, but to complement the ecosystem in order to reach all the opportunities that we have. As I mentioned to you at the beginning of the meeting, almost 9 million of Guatemalans without a savings account or a credit. And MICOPE in 60 years, we have 3 million now. So we can grow and triple the membership, because there are opportunities, there are no attended market over there. So that will be it. Thank you. And we are open for questions if you have them.
Yes, this is a good time we have 7 minutes. Thank you guys for presenting. Again, the Rally the Movement grant has been instrumental in keeping Diana in Guatemala, keeping Oscar at a certain percentage of his time, focusing on Guatemala. And then Franklin, actually, this is something that MICOPE has been able to retain Franklin to deliver this project. Any feedback, questions? I have to say, when I'm listening to you guys, sometimes I'm really stunned at how much we're doing with such limited resources. That it goes back to how effective foreign aid is. Can we do more with limited resources? But is there any feedback from anybody? And of course, apologies for the whole translation, muting, noises and all of that. But thank you for delivering this presentation. Any questions, feedback from anybody?
Aaron.
Go ahead, Aaron.
Lena.
Thanks so much for the presentation. That was it's really incredible to see the work that's being done. And so congratulations to all of you. I'm curious on the remittance and kind of the exploration with Visa. Are you what do you expect are some of those critical challenges? Is it the implementation? Is it the regulatory environment? Is it figuring out kind of, how to implement new technology across the board? I'm just curious what you anticipate on that front.
I believe not necessarily the regulatory or the KYC process that we've been discussing with not only Unidos, but Micope and actually CPM in Mexico, right? Because if you are using the Visa rail, you are going to be covered with that. Cybersecurity is over there. They're, reaching international standards for that. But also, they already have, if you have a debit card, you already have been, through the process of the KYC. So that gives us more security, not only for the senders, but also to the receivers and the credit unions participating in this initiative. What I believe is that we are seeing as a challenge here is not necessarily the implementation of this solution with Unidos in the US, and that, meaning implementation with other credit unions, but the implementation with Micope, because this is expansion of the debit cards is very critical here. And this means paradigms, because when we talk with the credit unions in the trainings with Diana and Franklin, we said, why don't you give them a debit card when you open a savings account? Why? And they said, they're not interested. They don't need it. They don't care about the debit card. When we went through the focus groups with the credit unions, imagine what the receivers, ladies, especially women receiving the remittances, said. What is this? How does it work? Oh my God, I need it. To whom should I speak to in order to have it? So the credit unions, doesn't really care. We are showing them that there's an opportunity, but then we need to train them and accompany them to the field in order to do it, right? So that's one challenge. And the other one is that we are with the team, with the Visa and Wokus team here, we are understanding how this is going to work, because probably it's going to be between the two on debit cards, but probably what you're seeing is that there's going to be different solutions. With Micope, only Unidos or only Micope. So the challenge is to pick a solution that has everything together, right? Credit union to credit union member to credit union member. So we are still in the process, and that will be other challenge over there.
Any other questions?
I have a question. This is Lena, and I don't know if it's for Oscar or Diana or whomever. The second tranche of the Rally movement campaign goes to is there an end date? I mean, is there going to be, not the answer if there's going to be an extension, but like the trainers and all the training that has been done, is there a cutoff, or are they going to be retrained in year 2 to continue and expand and grow to be able to, make those numbers even bigger? Because you guys are.
I believe the question is more for Angelina, but we can say that it's going to be, if there's more funding on second tranche, for Guatemala is to expand the work that has been done right now, piloting, last mile, microcredit, financial education and savings, to scale that, bigger numbers, more, impact with the members, but also to start working on others, remittances, correspondent agents, debit cards, that is going to be needed to link the other initiative with Visa and that will leverage other opportunities with Visa too, right?
And Lena, our intent with the Rally de Movement grant that this project would last a year. So most of these projects have started in May or June or in April, sort of within that time frame. So that's what the intent is. We are working with the foundation to develop the grant agreement to allow for that, and we'll know more details in a couple of weeks.
Is all the training material in the Spanish language? How can this be replicated?
Yes.
There's a lot of content here that I'd like to know more about what the educational.
This is something that we ran before, even with USAID funding. Majority of this content is in Spanish. Whatever we have from EIP, some of this, of course, methodologies or tools are from EIP. Those potentially can be in English. But frankly, with Agile for CU, even tools, we have Guatemala SME methodology that was only left in Spanish. And now we do have actually a credit union that would like to take a look at it in English. So this is something that we would have to plan for in terms of resource allocation, whatever. Maybe this is co-contribution from the recipients, that they actually translate that versus us. We'll have to just be very creative in how we approach this kind of case by case rather than more of a policy how we would do it. It's just, it can be costly and, but yes, it's, at this point, it's in English. Guys, it's 11 o'clock. I know a few of us have other commitments. So whoever would like to stay on the line and ask additional questions, please do. Or for those that need to go, please go to your other commitments. But really, I just wanted to make sure that we thank you. Thank you, Deanna, Oscar, Franklin. I know Franklin is always, it was great to see the videos. Gave us the reach that you guys have and the mountains that you have to go through. And it was great to really include that type of, but to bring out the personality of our technical assistants, the way we deliver, and really kudos to everybody for making this happen. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Take care.
Gracias.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.